Hey guys, it's Matt. I'm re-recording this because I said something a moment ago that caused me to stop the recording, to fall into the same trap, and to think for a moment, oh, I can't say that. I have to re-record it. I said, okay, we've been making fun of a lot of things, right? Like Terrence Howard, making fun of him yesterday, this Not No Clown show. So I said, you know what? It's time to get serious. And I thought, oh, I can't say that. And then I got upset at myself. It's like, you know what? I have to communicate in English. This word magic is associated with this language. There is no avoiding it unless you and I say as we have it, but we'll say it again, we decide on the meaning. It has nothing to do with their creepy astrology. When we went through this a few months ago, there weren't any good synonyms for it's time to get serious. It said something like time to sober up. People said, get serial, Matt. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm not, and then I got upset. Like, why am I, you know what? If I say 33, I'm not going to apologize for it. If the 9 happens to bump up against the number 11, I'm not going to apologize for it. We decide on the meanings. Okay, this is the language that was given to us from birth. If anybody's new, what I mean, Sirius, the homophone for the heart, the dark heart of their creepy astrology, the dog star, God spelled backwards to them, Sirius. And we realized about 5 years ago, if anybody's new, that's why John McEnroe, the tennis player, for 20 years screamed at the linesman, you cannot be serious. See, the linesman made a bad call. If the call would have been correct, then you're of Sirius. You're of our creepy astrology, Sirius. You made a shitty-ass call. So he said, you cannot be Sirius. You cannot be of Sirius, of our creepy-ass dark astrology. That's basically what it was saying. Matt, did John McEnroe understand that? Probably not. Probably not. They probably came to him and said, oh, this is going to be a thing. Everybody needs their little thing, John. You can become famous. He probably has no clue. As time goes on, there's less and less people in the know in this reality system than what we thought. 2007, 2008, 2009, we're all first grade truthers, some of us second or third graders. Everybody's in on it. All the dark forces plotting and planning around us. Then as time goes on, you heard me say it a million times, so I'll be very brief. Pithy, is that a word? What the hell does that mean? It less and less are in on it. Even at the presidential level, probably thinking they're actually a real president. Yes, understanding there's some forces in the world they need to bow down to, some phone calls they need to take, but understanding how reality works at a president level, no. No. Now, by this rationale, but Matt, by this rationale, how far are you going to take this? Could it potentially be a reality where nobody's in on it? Yes, absolutely. With the sequential incarnations of whatever these creepy entities that bow down to their strange astrology, they might have no clue as to the script that they're running with almost, okay, we talk about the creepy table and Bill's depiction of a floating Baphomet as the master of ceremonies. I'm getting closer and closer to this. No creepy table. It just happens somehow. The entity that fulfills the not milk wishes is so far removed from being in on it. Yes, at the lower levels, there's some plotting and planning, but no comprehension as to how the whole reality works or what the dark force that motivates them is up to. All right, want to put this to the test? Matt, you talking out your ass. Really? I've studied reality for a long time now, very closely, and I inch towards certain realizations, and I've been getting closer and closer to this one. Every so many months I make a video where I talk about who's in on it. It's less and less and fewer and fewer. That creepy table goes from hundreds down to 20, down to 15. By that rationale, I must assume it potentially could go the whole way. Where whatever these creatures are, Tony called them sequential incarnations, none of them are in on it. Yes, they plan and plot certain things or make their bogus presentations, but in terms of how the reality operates, their role here, none of them might have an understanding. It literally might be a download, a download, but customized to them. Now, this idea for me has been hard to reconcile for a long time. Because at the very lowest level, the tactics, there's a lot of fake events, okay? A lot of cake in the lake stuff, right? There's a lot of mall events, school events, capsules, and liquid-fueled rockets that go absolutely nowhere. But it's hard to bridge these two. Yeah, does Elon Musk really believe his Viking capsule is going to Mars, get your ass to Mars? Does Elon Musk believe? Well, he might. He's that low level of a puppet. He actually might believe his shit is going to Mars. Yes, he could be that fooled. And this is the heart of the major difference between, say, where most of us are and what I call the first grade truther. Again, the first grade truther, everybody's in the know. Everybody's in on it. You don't have to look past Tavistock and the Rand Corporation and the Rosicrucians and other secret societies and the Council on Foreign Relations and Trilateral Commission, and they're all no. As time goes on, if anybody's new here, you see that there's no possible way to coordinate all this from men and women making phone calls and plotting and planning. But therefore, the conclusion continues to move towards very, very few understand the role of not milk or what's going on here, which is always the same sentence, if anyone's new, to simply block a real spiritual being like you are, you wouldn't be listening to this, from doing what you're supposed to do in life. Your adversary, what they're doing, it comes down to the same sentence. It's simply here in this reality, whatever it is, to trip you up. So you fail to do the things you're supposed to do in life, the reasons you incarnated here, what your spiritual whole needs from this life. It's simply here to trip you up. It doesn't understand the big picture, in my opinion. So this weird entity here, our adversary that Tony called again a sequential incarnation, sure, it understands that it's mall events and it's school events. It's that cake in a lake. I think they understand, of course, that nothing really went down in that movie with Robin Williams called Captain Hook. They know that Matt Damon don't go in no liquid fuel rocket, and the tuna fish can doesn't go anywhere. They know that at that level. But in terms of the reasons why these events are being presented as bogus and why the population needs to be fooled in this manner or in this way, the spiritual battle aspect, I'm starting to think I don't think they understand at all. It's just they don't understand their own role. No, I'm not taking them off the hook. Even real spiritual beings, they lose their way. They get, as we've said, get under the dragon's wing, take out that penthouse suite, the top floor of the hotel, deep under the dragon's wing where it's nice and moist. They get whacked off in the coat closet with pigs in blankets served and $4,000 cognac being served. Lots of real spiritual beings get too far into the dragon's wing, and then they start to serve it. And they've not taken anybody off the hook. I mean, Tony talked about this incarnation that facilitates the not milk trick in this reality from their higher self perspective. They know exactly what they're doing. The aspect of them here, the way Tony described it, it's a small aspect of the whole of them, just like our aspect here is a small aspect in terms of what I believe of the whole of us. But like I've said, the way Tony interpreted it, that entity is not willing to go as far as we're going. So it plays a role here, of which, again, one of the point of this whole opening section is a role I don't think it is fully aware of or even partially aware of. What he said these words, quote unquote, it has a different relationship with its higher self, which means there is an aspect of it that's not here, similar to us, but it's holding itself back. It's game addicted, not willing to go the full Tommy, the deaf, dumb, and blind kid. So if things are plotted and planned in the school or in the mall or some tuna fish can don't go nowhere, yeah, the part of that entity on the ground here is coordinating and knows the tuna fish can didn't go nowhere to save Matt Damon, but overall the spiritual battle or what's going on, they don't have a clue, in my opinion. Potentially none of them then are in on it. But in this regard, the highest level, there may be no creepy table where we are starting, the little aspect of our spiritual whole, people like you, people like you, people like me, we're starting to see the highest level game that's being played here. That this is what's changed for us in the last 20 years. Do any of the dark entities or the creeps or the role players have an understanding of the true nature of why they are here and to be the adversary, that this maybe, I'm saying maybe not. Maybe there are a few dark entities like the closing scenes of Legend with Tom Cruise. No, Father! Maybe there's those types of entity. Who knows? Who cares? Okay, but the point is the same. If it's not zero, it's very, very few of these creeps, which means, if I invite Obama in for tea and, he's completely honest with me, he mostly believes he's a real president. Now he got some help in the election, and some real powerful forces kind of put him there. He would know that, but he's not going to even have a clue in terms of some of the things we understand about how this reality works in the game that's being played here. Sure, Obama's going to know that certain types of conflicts in the world have been cooked up and planned. He knows that. But that's all irrelevant to the highest level spiritual game that's being played here, where if we get it right, we can be done with this, in my opinion. Those entities have no clue, the dark forces, in my opinion. They're 100% role players. What Gus is saying is, if we brought them all in right now, even those past, let's bring them all in. Not a police lineup. Bring them in, chairs and couches. Here comes Vladimir Putin. Bring him in. What does he want? Get him a double vodka. Here, Henry Kissinger. We can even bring the ghost of Jacob Marley back. George W. Bush, Obama, George Soros. Bring them all in. And say, you guys are all colluding with each other, right? And to present certain things in the world and to cook up your wars. And, we all work together. We all have some sort of truth serum. But then here again, it's just me and you sitting there. Imagine all these creeps around us. Imagine the feel of the room. We said, okay, come on. Just like in My Cousin Vinny, you can say, they know. Tell us about the spiritual role you're playing to block my type of entity from doing what it's supposed to do. Come on, tell us about the highest level that you know about. And then Vladimir would look over at the ghost of Henry Kissinger, and he'd look over at George W., and then he'd look over the ghost of George H.W. and say, what? It's one of those people. What the hell is this guy talking about? I don't think they'd know. That's what I'm saying. I don't think spiritual... Henry Kissinger would say, spiritual battle. You're one of those people. What are you talking about? We're here for ourselves. And okay, Tony would say they probably know a little bit more. They have an understanding of even past lives or the relationship with higher self, and they understand what their entity is. But in terms of the purpose of the reality, at the highest level, with them, as greedy as they are, getting more magenta speedboats and seeking sex acts off the back of them, I believe they're thinking they're doing it for themselves. They're here as a role player to block us. Oh, Matt, that's pretty arrogant, don't you think? Oh, you know something that they don't. These high-level creeps, beings, entities, you understand it. I think we are starting to understand it, yes. Right? 10 years ago, I would have said they know everything and we know nothing. I'm not so sure they know as much as you think they do. And it's certainly not as much as the first grade truther does. But the first grade truther can't see past. They're doing it for money. They're doing it for a pipeline. The first grade truther doesn't see the spiritual battle or the whole purpose of this reality anyway. The Christians recognize the dark adversary. That's why they call it Satan and Lucifer. That's why very few Christians leave me, because at the most important level, we see it basically the same way. In other areas, we don't. But at maybe not the most important level, if you're way out as John 3:16, but in terms of the most important adversary level, where the adversary is on a spiritual level, has nothing to do with the physical directly or the material directly or your life day to day. All that that's where it performs its tactics and carries out its strategic plans, because it has to do it at the physical level in this reality. But it only does it at that level for the impact on the spiritual, for how it can affect that level. It doesn't do it for that level as a result in and of itself. It's for what that can do to the spiritual, of which in the end, remember, that entity, that real being, has to do it to themselves. They have to corrupt themselves. They have to tell themselves they haven't done what they're supposed to do in life. The dark entity can't do it directly. Last time we'll use the analogy, at least this week, Satan can't pull up in his El Camino. That's those, remember, that's those low riders with the bed in the back of it. It's like a car in the front and the bed in the back. Oh yeah, you could have picked one of them up for $12 about 1984. You know what they're worth now? Like $80,000. All that old shit, Obama's cash for clunkers, is all like super expensive now because nobody wants his electric horse shit. Sorry. Satan cannot throw you in the back of his El Camino and tie you down. You have to volunteer to get into the El Camino. That will always give us the upper hand. Some of the old guard may remember 4 or 5 years ago, I made a video about the song The Devil Went Down to Georgia, the Charlie Daniels band, and how the devil didn't lose anything. He faked it, and he wanted Johnny to win. And there's no doubt that's the message from that song. That would never be interpreted at the first level by anybody listening to this song. Charlie Daniels band himself, of course, is unaware of the spiritual message, just the way this stuff works. Okay, let's do a few minutes on it. I mean, how many of you remember the video? There's new people here. The devil went down to Georgia. He was looking for a soul to steal, right? So something like he came across Johnny. He was playing hard on the fiddle. He was really, really good. So the devil, he's really smart, 22 mile to Davenport. He saw that Johnny was really, really good. So knowing he could lose, he decided to pick on a fiddle player he observed as being really, really good, sure. And then, I'll bet you this golden fiddle, the devil said, against your soul. And of course, the devil tried real hard, and then Johnny stepped up, and he was so good. And it says something like the devil bowed his head. He knew he had been beat. Oh, sure. Satan is in the business of just losing a fiddle competition. And then Johnny said, and then he showed arrogance on top of it. He doomed himself even worse. He says, I'm the best there's ever been, you son of a beach. Devil, you son of you come back. You want to fiddle me, you son of a beach. And he showed arrogance. Then he took the fiddle of gold. And remember, it's that video played out. Then what do you think? What would he do with a fiddle of gold? He probably bought a brothel. He corrupted himself. He got on heroin and opioids, and he bought magenta speedboats. The devil wanted to give Johnny the fiddle of gold because the chances are like 1,000% he would use it to corrupt himself. The worst parts of the movie Goodfellas would start playing out. He didn't lose. The devil didn't lose. He lost on purpose. Everybody knows that, except the guy that wrote it, except everybody that listens to it. If if you're at a certain spiritual level as to how this game's being played, of course that's the message of the song. But here's the thing. Here's the main message. You know when he lost? The moment he accepted. The devil says, I'll bet your soul against this golden fiddle. The moment he accepted, see, that the moment he coveted the gold, the materialism of this world, the moment he even went for it, the moment he even showed interest to that, $1 billion knock on the door. I'll take both your cats that are pissing all over, Bootsy and Puss. Take both your cats pissing all over the place, and I'll give you $1 billion to take them. No, thank you. The moment you even consider a material reward, a reward of this place, that's when he lost. It had nothing to do with a fiddle competition. So Johnny, or the star of the Devil Went Down to Georgia song by Charlie Daniels Band, Johnny, you were low. I don't know what you are. You got a lot of work to do. Let's just give you the benefit of the doubt. You're a young soul. Let's say an old soul was a really good fiddle player, not the kid that did the dueling banjos at the beginning of Deliverance. Say you or somebody, an old soul, and then this entity comes around the corner, and he's not going to announce himself with a big sandwich sign, naked under the sandwich sign, I'm the devil, but you sense this entity's could be something, it's like, you want to make a bet, I'm better than you, and he's not going to come right out. It's a song, man, it has to be under 3.5 minutes, but if it really played out, he'd try to, be a slower process. He wouldn't just say, your soul for this gold fiddle, but then if it was you or me, the entity would come around, and you're fiddling, and it'd say, you want to make a little bet here? If you lose, you get this or that, or $1 billion, or you get a timeshare in Cape Coral, Florida, or in any real spiritual being, old guard at the highest level. Nothing would be of any interest if some entity said, you want to bet? And you say, no. And then this thing that we're talking to would keep upping the ante. We're just minding our own business on the park bench, playing our fiddle. And again, it's not announcing itself as the devil in a sandwich sign, but see, it's offering you, in terms of if you agree to take its wager, some form of materialism, some reward of this place, a physical act, 72 virgins, whatever it may be. but it wants something from you that's not physical. I don't think it's going to come right out. If it was real and you could make a whole movie out of this, Devil Went Down to Georgia, say your soul for the fiddle, you would be offering a part of yourself up. It wouldn't be as directly said as giving up your soul, but we would sense it. It's like, old soul, you and me, you get to a certain point, even if it seems completely one-sided. I just want to take a little bit of your fingernail, and if I lose, you get the entire state of California. Well, can you up the ante anymore? Nothing would interest us. We see what's the game that would be being played here. There's no materialism that would ever get us to take a wager. We wouldn't be interested in it. So again, the original point, the moment Johnny accepted, he had lost, had nothing to do with actually the fiddle competition. And as we look around, it seems like there's a whole army of Johnnies, people that agreed to the fiddle competition, like Alec Baldwin, and believe they won, at least initially, until they lost. Oh, I'm going to get involved in this. Alec Baldwin, the entity now known as Alec Baldwin, said at some point. And then he won. He was rewarded with The Hunt for Red October and Saturday Night Live skits and all this fame and fortune and people bowing down before him. And then on this back end, he said, wait a second, there might be a price of some kind to pay. Now, I don't think who knows if he said, oh no, or what, but the price is what? Rust. What am I going to have to do? Well, there's Matt. He'd had to do a whole lot worse than that. It's what you call these eyes wide shut parties. Yeah, I bet he did. Crawling around on the floor, dressed up like a monkey. Yeah, okay. But what's this? I would just take the Rust example by himself. Initially, see, he was The Hunt for Red October. He thought he had won. Oh no, he lost. How many entities? See, this isn't a George Soros entity. What Tony described as sequential. That's a different type thing, in my opinion, than a lot of these Alec Baldwin types. It could be a real spiritual being that just simply was just dying to get under the dragon's wing, to give itself away, to completely waste its life, to cozy up to King Kong, and sleep on its back thinking it's a nice big throw rug. I mean, you can see the difference between some of these entities that you just I guarantee we could feel it if we were in the room with these creatures. Larry Silverfish, to me, just is one of these George Soros types. We could probably, and not because we could probably sense him a mile away, not because every single flower and weed and tree and bush would be wilting, just we would feel it. These creeps probably have a completely different resonance and aura. But something like an Alec Baldwin type, I mean, the message and the lesson of Gollum and Sméagol in Lord of the Rings, that was a real hobbit, a real boy Pinocchio, until it fell in love with the precious. You gonna do it, Matt? Yeah, I'm gonna do it. My precious. I got to do a quick sidebar. The laptop is over here to the right. I still have CNN up, and it's flashing different things. I should have just closed it, but I'm glad I saw this because it's funny as shit. I looked over. Prince Harry, and Meghan, 3-day trip to Nigeria, and the video's playing underneath. It says he will do a special mental health summit. See, the Not Milk's trick of everything being a mental health problem has not reached certain parts of the world. So as ambassadors for Not Milk, they have to go out to Nigeria and other places. They'll probably go through Kenya and Uganda, Tanzania, and say, you all have mental health issues, and do you have internet here? You need better help. Let me show you how millions of people, you all need better. And then they step up and said, well, wait a second, Harry and Meghan, our lives here are quite difficult. And we don't live on very much, but we don't have these mental health problems. Oh, yes, you do. I'm here to convince you that you do. Oh, really? You think we all have mental health? That's why you're poor, because you need better help. If I kept reading the article, of course, Harry and Meghan, they probably have a full entourage, the same old cast of characters. Bono's probably there because he loves Africa. They brought Eddie Vedder from Pearl Jam. He can do a special version for the Nigerians that Harry and Meghan are visiting. She lies in space, she's in love with him. They can't find the BetterHelp.com, can't find the BetterHelp. Don't put it past them. I think Bono's already changed some lyrics for their shit before. Eddie Vedder would have to rank, top 15 of all time in terms of biggest not milk puppets, especially how he was involved or whatever 10 to 15 years ago. I haven't heard much from him lately, but again, I don't watch the news. I don't read People magazine. Maybe, Bono for some reason keeps popping up, but every single concert, it was like Bono. He always gigantic little speeches between songs about liberalism and abortion. It's just Eddie, shut up. It's not as bad as Bruce Springsteen and some of the other ones, but almost. And Eddie, if you're listening to me, Eddie, and you're probably a listener, you're the last one left alive of the great grunge singers. Was it Sir Stone Temple Pilots, Scott Weiland? He's gone. Chris Cornell, Soundgarden. Matt, that's the CC. We don't do that stupid stuff anymore. Who cares if it's the CC? Oh yeah, they named it at birth just because it is a C, and that's 1, 2, 3. Come on, stop that first grade stuff. Matt, you did it, not me. Sorry. Who are the others? Chris Cornell, Scott Weiland, Lane Stanley might have been the best. And I think that was, he did get on drugs and his teeth started to fall out. That was pretty legitimate. That didn't seem like a complete payback to not milk. And what am I missing? A big one, Kurt Cobain. I'm missing that. Of the 5 great grunge singers, is Eddie still around? I don't even watch news. Maybe he's gone too. Matt, which ones really died and which ones went off to a secret David Bowie island? I don't know. It's a good question. It seems like Chris Cornell went off to David Bowie Island. He was clean, and so Matt, it's breaking down. We were having a very interesting discussion about the motivations of the dark entity. Let's not go too further into the weeds here. Does it really matter which one went to the secret David Bowie Island versus which ones really died? And what if any of our friends and family are overhearing us listening to something like this? You're right. Let me return. It's when we return to the analysis of the dark entity trying to disrupt our spiritual journey. That'll be much better if you're being overheard by friends and family. Sorry. This is a decent way to return to the main theme of what we were discussing. Take an old-time not milk caricature like Cecil Rhodes. What did he live, 120 years ago or something like that? A Cecil Rhodes who went into South Africa to start this diamond business, went into South Africa on behalf of the Rothensteiner Steiners. Again, Rothensteiner Steiners. I'm not trying to pick a fight. You're in this reality system. You're far more powerful than me. I don't want a banner ad. Call you to tell them to remove banner ads when you say the name, and I'll say your name properly. If I'm going to get a banner ad, take me right to the truth about the Rothensteiner Steiners, I have to say it this way. If you don't like it, Rothensteiner Steiners, call YouTube. It has nothing to do with me. Okay, Cecil Rhodes went into South Africa. And in a lot of ways, that sounds a lot like the devil went down to Georgia. But what Cecil Rhodes did to South Africa was far worse. Far worse. And on behalf of the Rothensteiner Steiners, it's not Rockefellers, man. It's a Roth. Sorry, whatever. Till I can say without a banner ad, I don't care what it is. He started this little interest you may have heard of called De Beers. Oh, Matt, let's not get into this. We know it's all controlled. These horse apples are probably worth they're worth between $12 and $15 each, and they've controlled the supply of the horse apples. So we know that whole thing. But okay, the point is what we were talking about. Cecil Rhodes, in doing all of this, he has no idea, in my opinion, these middle-level manager not milk puppets, that there's a spiritual battle going on. It's to him, in my opinion. I don't know exactly what that entity was or was not, but it's all about the business interests. And I'm doing this on behalf of the Roth, so they can control the diamond trade through monopolies like De Beers. And no idea, in my opinion, what is really going on in the reality. Cecil Rhodes' head and bust. Well, now it's being taken down because that's the reality script playing out over the last 5 years, and all the Christopher Columbus statues being taken down. No, just another phase of the Not Milk script. If anybody's saying, oh, that's not what Not Milk wanted, people are sensing how evil these people are. No, it's the exact phase of the Not Milk play playing out and acting out exactly as Not Milk planned it. All the statues now have to come down. See, if you had a little book in front of you, that's the act and the scene we're on now. It's nothing to do with what real people are finally waking up. No. Anyway, Cecil Rhodes fooled. Although the Rhodes Scholar, Bill Clinton was a Rhodes Scholar. I had good grades at Penn State. Well, Rhodes Scholar, they never even heard of Penn State. You're right. You're right. I'm just saying I never heard from the Rhodes Scholar, but they don't deal with state schools. That's all Longshanks. That's all peasant and peon shit. That's one step up from Appalachian State and Murray State. They don't. It's all, if you're not Stanford and above on the big side, and Wesleyan and Vassar and Bard College and above on the small side, if you're not in that zone, then you're not shit to the recruiters or those that review applications on behalf of the Rhodes scholarships. I mean, more I think about it, Matt, you don't want to be involved in that. Of course not. Of course not. But no, they would never. They would go to Penn State if they were on their way somewhere else and they had to stop off and go to the bathroom or something like that. But no, that the Rhodes Scholar, if anybody's thinking, well, that sounds like a pretty good thing, you're putting through scholarships for children, it's to recruit high-level not-milk minions like Bill Clinton and Obama. Is that what you want your kid doing? So if Cecil Rhodes is just a role player, you're using an example from the past, then what's the next level up? Who did Cecil Rhodes work? Who does number 2 work for? The Rothensteiners. Matt, just keep your theory going. Maybe, according to your dumb, spiritually broke ass, they don't know anything. Maybe they don't. Maybe they don't. Well, then here comes the first grade truthers yelling at me. I can hear it right now. Oh, you're taking them off the hook. The trolls heard that and they just perked up a bit, took their head out of their soup. Oh, how we can get Matt on this. He seems to be a not-milk sympathizer. Yeah. What was that McCarthy shit? Communist sympathizers throughout the late 50s and mid-50s. He's a not-milk sympathizer. You see what he's doing here? He's trying to say they don't know what they do. They're not responsible. See, that's even worse. What I'm saying, it's even worse. Because to align yourself as a spiritual entity, to do the bidding of the dark force here trying to block us, and it's probably better if you know to not know what you're doing and to carry forth its download. You're so that far close to it, and you're so much under its dragon's wing that you don't even realize you're doing anything bad. That's even worse. You want to call me a not-milk sympathizer? Go ahead. You guys know that to me, one of the most fascinating parts of this whole study of reality is whenever we look at the dark side, what exactly do they know? Which is more of a general conversation than who's in on it in terms of every dastardly plan. What do they know about their role here inside of reality itself? And again, I've said it many times, one last time, as the months and the years go by, what they understand to me is less and far, far less than what I thought 2 years ago or 5 years ago or 10 years ago. And I have to assume, I have to pretend to be the wise man here, the wise they, them, and that trend, I have to assume it will continue. And if it will continue, then I must leave on the table that none of them truly understand exactly what is going on here and can't see beyond their own role, cannot see the big picture or the forest through the trees at all. Well, that's not a not-milk sympathizer. I don't know what is. You probably have a Khazarian mob posters all over the house. You remember that Benjamin? What happened to the Benjamin Filford stuff? The Khazarian. Oh, there's still the first grade. Oh, they'll tell me about the Khazarian mob. Oh, Matt, you don't talk about the Jays. Oh, yeah, there's no. No, I talk about the big picture that's happening and the spiritual battle happening at the highest level. I don't care about what little gang inside the Warriors movies executing this or executing that. It doesn't matter. That you want to get caught up in that, you're playing its game. You're down in its weeds. Okay, that's what it wants. Matt, you're going to talk about the Benjamin Fulford, the Khazarian mob, and wasn't there like the White Dragon Society? There's always these good guys out that are going to help. And where's that? Where's that? Remember all that bullshit we watched? There's all these secret good organizations too, and there's secret aliens that are helping. And where is it? No, it doesn't exist. You know what? All those secret organizations, the white knights, the white dragons, the friendly Pleiadians that are here that are going to help, and this group's going to help. And you know what? Worry about yourself. Ain't no group. That's exactly what the game Not Milk plays. The people putting this forth might actually be trying to help. They're convinced that potentially, I don't know what this character that came, this Benjamin Fulford or whatever. I listened to his videos for 6 months. It was very interesting. I was like, boy, this would make a heck of a novel. I was like, okay, done with this nonsense. Okay. I don't care about no implementers on the ground for Not Milk. I don't care about no little group doing it over here, this secret society, these Rosicrucians, this Khazarian mob. If you're at that level, you are falling for its trick, I assure you. Rise out of the weeds, please. Just sitting here for a few minutes thinking about all this stuff we used to watch. If you're old guard, we went through all the different levels. It might still all be out there. I have no idea. Once you get to a certain place, YouTube knows to stop showing you the stuff. I like the name, like, what was his name? David Wilcox David Wilcox and his aliens or blue avians or something. Is he still around? I mean, who knows? Who knows? And anybody wants to tell me, of course, oh, Matt, he's a fraud. Or yeah, I've been doing this a while. I'm aware of potentially certain outcomes. But see, here's the main point. Take the main point away from this. I really believe reality works like this. It doesn't, you get to a high level. It doesn't matter if, whatever, this guy's a fraud over here, or Dr. Stephen, whatever, he's a fraud, all that stuff. I've been through all that. Doesn't matter whether he's paid or he really believes it, and he really thinks this group of aliens is the White Dragon Society is going to come and help us. It doesn't matter from our perspective. We shouldn't care one bit, because it's still the same level of the Not Milk trick. Even if there's evidence, real evidence, that's given to these people, and they really believe it, even if Not Milk presents there's a good side, it doesn't matter. It's all part of the same Not Milk trick. Therefore, there's no reason to indict someone as a fraud or not. It doesn't matter. We still have a duty to worry about yourself. Worry about yourself, to move through it, to get past it, to see we're here to do things for ourselves. We don't have that much time left. As I've said, from the perspective of any spiritual entity out of here, Violet, whoever, we're already dead. You know, somebody died, family member died. We'll be right there 1 millisecond later. From the perspective of anything out of here, we're already dead. It's just in out. Boom, boom. We don't have a lot of time left, even from the time perspective that exists inside this snow globe. We have things we need to get done. If you think Not Milk wants you sitting around waiting for the Blue Avian group to march up to the steps of the White House and demand liberty, or to demand all that, when we can take Hillary Clinton's off to jail and they'll be led in chains with Anthony Weiner, and then, Alec Baldwin, and we can cry and hug, and then after they all go to jail, and then we go, now what do we do? The cities are still being overrun. They're still ripping off the Apple stores. Now it's all comes back, same thing. Now we have to worry about ourselves and do what we have to do for our spiritual selves. It doesn't matter who's in on it. That's kind of the main point here. If you're focused on that, you're playing its game, and you're 5th, 6th, 7th level truther. You don't graduate this reality till you graduate these basic points. So certain truths are worth summarizing every so many months. We're not going to do the half page more than once or twice a year. That there's different types of entities here. We understand at this point, a few of us, what we need to do here for ourselves. If we think we have to fix the world, culture, society, take the politicians to jail, we're playing the exact game that it wants. It's one of its main tricks. The trick of the adversary is crafted for one reason, one sentence: to block you from what you're supposed to do here, which means what you're supposed to give your spiritual whole through this experience. It's that simple. It's one sentence in terms of the adversary and what it's out to do: block. And then we could talk about tactics for YouTube videos for the rest of our lives. Distract, fake this, cake in a lake. That's its job, to block. Our job is to not get blocked and do, Matt, here we go again. Well, you never clear on what the worry about yourself activities are. The worry about your self-activities are personal to you. It's not that difficult. Just sit there, put the phone away for 5 minutes. I know that we're a little bit different in this group than most people, of course. But you're an aspect of something much greater. If you could send a little piece of yourself to here, right now you could send a little piece of yourself to the Wildwood Boardwalk where all its rides and its fraudulent carnival games. What would you want if you could send a little piece to yourself to the Wildwood Boardwalk? Well, what would you want it to do? Okay, it's not about just having fun and having little, little pleasures under the boardwalk. And we were here for more hardcore pipe-hitting reasons. You have to think in terms of what is this low reality? What can it give the spiritual whole? What do I have to overcome? How do I need to improve? What do I need to do? How can I use what's around me in this really hardcore Marcellus Wallace place? I mean, it's not just the Wildwood Boardwalk was a bad example. You need to determine this on your own. I have little petty worries and fears and all of it. There's nothing too trivial. It's the big stuff and the small stuff. It is, to a degree, the forgiveness, but that's a little, that's the touchy-feely stuff I'm not expert on, but that's right there too. It's not the forgive. You know why you forgive somebody? For you, not for them. I mean, that stuff, all that stuff, I'm not expert at it. All I can do is break you into that zone where you leave my job is just to get you into that final bucket. I can't tell you what to do with the worry about yourself activities. People complain, you don't ever talk about it, man. It's personal, of course. My job is to get you there into that bucket and leave the conspiracy behind. I'm an expert on the application of its trick, the trick, how it plays its game, how not to get sucked into it. Even the highest level hardcore old guard tends to still want to get sucked into it to a degree. That's my role here. Once you get to that final and you leave it behind and you have rowed, the ship of fools is gone and that's on you. It's not that hard though. What are my fears? What are my worries? Do any of these fears have any real basis? What do I get out of being worried or fear? Why do I hate this person? What do I need to do for myself? Talk to your spiritual whole. What does it want? What do you want from me? Any blockers or any, through affirmation, potentially can etherically block our communication with any aspect of us that's not here. You know how we can take it down? By just saying it's gone. I've said many times, whatever experience I'm getting here, whatever joy or sorrow, I'm giving it away, not to not milk. I'm very clear on that. Not to an energy vampire, to an aspect of me. I'm giving it away. And if not milk has blockers up or has tried to block it, then that they're gone. Why? Because I said so. That's the whole purpose of the trick, is to get you to believe you don't have say-so. So assume that everything here is working against you, but you have the power to remove all of it by seeing through it and basically via say-so. So I said, I'm giving my aspect of me that's not here. And I say this all the time. I'm not going to say it anymore. Take it, the joy, the sorrow. It loves the sorrow just as much. The crying and it's sweet ambrosia probably to our higher self. It doesn't get it. It probably covets the sorrow just as much. You sense that. We all sense that there's a pleasure to the deep sorrow. The pleasure might be derived from the aspect of you that's not here. It wants all, and then, you know what? Not no, because if you've created it through this trick to block this, it's all gone. I'm giving it, and then let the higher self take whatever it needs, get what it needs out of this reality, so we can collectively get the hell out of here. So you see, it don't make no sense that people you don't talk about the work, all this part 2 stuff. It's personal. Here, sit, get a pencil and paper, close the door, no distractions for an hour. Write down your fears, write down your worries. They're all unwarranted. They all make no sense. Overcome them. Your hates. Write it all down if you don't know where to start. And that's not the end of it. What do I do if I hit bingo? I got bingo! I got all of them. No, there will never be enough time to do all that we could do or we're supposed to do here. And if you don't, even if you put 30 things or 40 things on the list and you really only conquer maybe 15, you don't go into the moment of death going, oh shit, I didn't get it done. I'm really... You say, you know what? If you've done enough, you've done all you can do, in my opinion, that's enough. Don't have to do it all. The false standard of Buddhism, that shit, that really gets me. The false, you didn't do it. You think you did it. You think, oh, you achieved what the Buddha achieved. Oh, you coming back again. How many more times? 5 more times? I could do 5 more lifetimes. No, like 50,000. Karma's on your ass. I can see a big karma monkey climbing all over you, and all the Buddhists believe it. And I'm not an expert, but Buddhists get upset at me. That's generally what the world knows about Buddhism, and it's not unwarranted or karma, the bardos, and the Buddhist says you walk by a woman in the mall, it could potentially in the future be your mother. There's that many lifetimes, and I'm not making this up. I mean, I don't have the specifics, but generally, that's what it puts forth, the religion or whatever it is. Okay, that's not healthy. Nobody believes they even did one day like the Buddha going into the moment of death. So they all think they failed, and they all set themselves up for another lifetime. Whether they have another lifetime or not is probably completely up to them and the belief set they take into the moment of death. Tony talked about it. You get what you expect. A Christian has spent their whole lives, this is what Tony says, don't get upset at me. I'm the messenger. He said they've spent their whole lives expecting a Christian heaven with Jesus. That's what they'll get. But that is another layer. It's not the final layer. He says, don't get upset at me. Okay, we see the same adversary. We're going to be one. We see the same adversary. I don't call it Satan. I don't call it a sling blade or a Kaiser blade. I call it a knot milk. You call it a Satan. He calls it a Kaiser blade. He calls it a sling blade. It doesn't matter. Generally, it plays the same role here. Don't get upset at me. But he'd say, yeah, you're going to go to heaven. You'll get exactly what you expect. And then, I don't know, the equivalent of time, 100, 200 years, you'll go at that level, just like we're going now. You'll go, this isn't the final. This isn't it. I have way more to do. And, you'll get stuck again, according to him. Just as to a degree, we're stuck now. It's a giant fractal of sorts. You sense that, right? The dream character to you, to whatever you are at the moment of death. And there's giveaways at every level. It's not high, Jack. It's not high. The whole dream experience itself just tells you there's another level down, which by any logical means, then there's another level up. I mean, we're all going to be, oh, Matt, you're going to go into death all confident, no fear. No, I never said that. Of course there's fear. We don't have to be perfect. We're here to experience these things. We're here to experience the low. We're here to embrace the low. Don't try to be a 5D being of light that's going to freaking fly into a Wi-Fi phone line and submerge. That's what it wants. It wants you to become a being of light. That's fiber optic cable. It wants you to merge and become a digital. We're here to do the opposite. No being of light. Maybe that's what I am somewhere else. I'm not that here. I'm here to be a low being and embrace it. Not to try to get lower, to improve. Let's say that's okay. It's okay. What I am here is okay. To try to overcome what we can, but not to completely, leave it all behind. That's what this experience is all about. Well, you've heard me say that stuff a million times. So it seems like the Alec Baldwins of the world, it's not just embracing, they've gone too far in embracing the low. No, they're messing, with the spiritual side of it. They're cozying up to the trickster here. They're cozying up to the dark entity. And according to the no consequences people, you can't be harmed spiritually in this place. But we don't know, do we? And I'm not taking any chances, since we will never know. I'm going to make the same decisions no matter what. I'm going to do what I need to do for myself either way. If the no consequences people convince me that we cannot be spiritually harmed, no matter what this part of the avatar does in this earth reality system in relationship to the whole spiritual you, I'm not going to run right out and do anything bad. I'm not going to want to join the Sopranos. Let me in. Oh, let me into the Warriors. Let me into the Sopranos. Do you know Alec Baldwin? Do you think he can get me an interview? Well, it requires a special room in the Eyes Wide Shut party. I'll do anything. And I'm not going to do any of that. I'm going to make the same decisions either way. So it doesn't matter if the no consequences people are right or wrong or not. I'm going to do all I can do here because that's what I'm being driven to do. I personally believe there are things that need to be done here for our whole selves, or the spiritual whole, to get out of these material planes, or to graduate, or to move on so we never have to do them again. If there's things I need to do, then this is a yin and yang, right? Then like a zero sum. Then there might be on the other side a consequence if I don't do them. See, I don't see how one can exist without the other. If there's are we just here for no reason? If you believe, like I do, that there's an aspect of us that's not here, higher self, whatever, so we're just here for no reason. That's it. Even if the reason is to pull out the bottle of lube, it's still a reason. Nobody believes we're here for no reason. Well, if we're here for a reason, then that reason is supposed to be fulfilled by this aspect of you in this reality. Then the yin and yang exists here. It's duality. The other part must exist, right? Then there could be a consequence for not doing it. Am I missing something? The yin always goes with the yang. There ain't no fun action game sold at the Kitty City when I grew up where you could find a way to solve the puzzle and remove the yin from the yang. They're always attached. There's ridiculous stuff put forth in some of these truth videos. Whether I don't know what merit is to it or how real it is, but they'll talk about the bad guys and the creeps, and even secret societies and Freemasonry and stuff. I've heard these types of speeches, somehow trying to overcome duality. I don't even know what that means. Why anybody would try to do that. This is the place to experience that, to embrace that. There's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with the duality of this place. That's what it was designed for. Something far more powerful and in the know than me made it. I figure they know what they're doing. It's not to be overcome. Nothing here is to be overcome. It's to be embraced and used. Okay. I don't know how roundabout. Maybe I'm Matt repeating a thing. Don't improve it. I don't know. How repetitive was I? But even if a tiny little portion was correct, I think it's worth repeating like every day, right? So this drives me crazy. I get these comments every so often, and it's probably from a troll or something. But it's like, Matt, in this regard, you're saying the same thing. You're repeating yourself. Let's just say there's one little portion of my presentations where I, in a little way, have figured out how this reality works. Hopefully, if I have, in the way that affects why we're here spiritually. Let's say a little bit is correct. If a little bit, it's basically worth saying the same thing over and over again in every video for the rest of my natural life, if any of it's correct. I mean, okay, so it's said, I mean, if a little bit of it's right, it's rather important. Okay, if it's all horse shit, then it's all horse shit. Well, what are you doing here if it's all horse shit? But see what I'm saying? It must be a troll. Matt, you're repeating yourself. What? There's YouTube channels that do nothing every single day but put a video about how Disney is destroying itself through bad writing. That's useless repeating itself, and there's no, you want to talk about no real spiritual reason behind a video. And Matt, you watch some of those. I do. I'm fascinated as they never see through the trick. They say the same thing. Disney's dooming itself. Why does Disney keep making woke decisions? They should be able to see that they're not making money from woke. Social justice warrior, identity politics, woke. That's repeating yourself. You know, Disney's dooming itself every single day through woke messaging. I can repeat myself, but if even 1 minute of this presentation is correct, it's worth repeating. Thanks for listening.